The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
On TECHxploration, your trusted tour guides, Craig and David, will explore every corner of Florida for the latest tech and innovations emerging within our communities as an inside look ahead at Florida's future.
Welcome to episode 12 of TECHxploration on the Florida Podcast Network. Here we are discovering all the tech and innovation thriving under the Florida sun. I'm one of your hosts, Craig.
And I'm David. We do web stuff in Orlando, Florida. Let's dive into this episode.
We're going to talk about the latest in tech headlines. Is crypto dead?
Then Natalie Guzman joins us to talk about her company, NG Virtual Assistants.
And we'll end the episode with a sweet podcasting tech tip from Neil with Wild Style Media. Oh my gosh, Bitcoin is down under 20K. Ethereum broke under 1,000. Coinbase just laid off 18% of their workforce. And a major exchange called Celsius froze assets and didn't let anyone withdraw money. David, is cryptocurrency dead?
It's not dead. Well,
it might be dead.
It might be, but right now it's definitely let's go in a boxer term, right? If there's a fighter, right, he's on the ropes right now.
Okay.
All right.
He's been punched.
He's been punched a few times. He's got some birds flying around his head. He's probably had some regrets about being exactly where he's at right now. Maybe he put himself a little too far into that fight, a little too early. And I think that's where in my eyes,
I love that analogy for putting too far into the fight, because to the point of, I know I read some headlines there, Celsius specifically, right? This was a very large exchange that actually had a retail element, meaning retail being like the you and me. We were the regular people that might have been putting our money on this platform, having it sit with them to yield, right? But much like that boxer you just said, put too far in the fight, Celsius was over leveraged. Mm-hmm. They did things that maybe you or I wouldn't do, right? And I think that's the problem, where crypto as a whole it's not dead. It can't die. That's the thing. There's too many of them. There's too many different chains and all that. The blockchain technology won't die. That tech is too good and too revolutionary. Visa's working on it. MasterCard's working on it. Chase and Wells Fargo are working on it.
The government wants to use it.
Right.
So
the blockchain tech won't go anywhere. But certain companies or boxers, to your great analogy, are absolutely going to go down for the count. Mm-hmm. They are going to leave completely, and they might go to zero, a term that gets used a lot. So what's your take on the Coinbase element of what we just said? They laid off 18% of their workforce, whereas FTX and Binance hired new people. What's your take on that?
Business being business, I think sometimes as a business, they saw an opportunity and they went all in. And again, I'm not obviously an expert in what their financials are, but they see something, right? They saw a drop, and they, I think, cut them even a few weeks ago before it dropped even more. Correct. So obviously their prediction of where things were going is some writing on the wall that maybe at least they're saving face. So I get that. It's not a great situation, but maybe they also over leverage themselves.
Absolutely. Very similar thing, where I think what I agree with you on is it's not that Coinbase is going out of business right now. This actually happens to big businesses. Mm-hmm. Disney technically got in a little bit of hot water when they were laying off a bunch of entertainers 3 different times, not just during COVID, but multiple times this has happened. It doesn't mean Coinbase is going under the way Celsius did. They're two different things, two completely different ecosystems of what they bring to the table. But I think for us, when we see a lot of these headlines about crypto or about specific coins, whether that be Bitcoin or Ripple, or it doesn't even matter, what we look to is the underlying technology. And that would be something that I would encourage anyone to be looking at. When you hear these wild things of there's scams everywhere or theft or all these things, figure out what's actually going on. And in some cases, by the way, it could be an actual thief and an actual scam. We all remember Bernie Madoff, right? We all remember Enron. That was a real thing that happened. There's bad people in every industry. Doesn't mean that the technology underlying is the villain here.
And maybe it being this safe investment piece or an investment piece, the same way it's being used right now is kind of, it's like gold, like an asset or something. Just maybe it kind of
right. Maybe that needs to come down, right? And this is not financial advice by any means, but that's the point, right? Maybe it was never meant to be.
It was
what has become of it, where you see a lot of people using it as something maybe it wasn't. But that's for another deep dive with maybe we'll get a blockchain expert on it at some point in the near future. It's such a new technology, but crypto might not be dead, but it's certainly on the ropes. David and I are hyped for today's guest, Natalie Guzman, founder and CEO of NG Virtual Assistants, an entire business built around helping busy entrepreneurs that speaks to our soul. Natalie, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
awesome.
We're stoked. We're stoked because we met you at PodFest. So right out of the gate, that's just a double exciting thing that we did, right? We were going to this thing. We didn't know who we were going to meet, and we met amazing people. And then by poking a little bit, we found out you started an entire business to help out other businesses. And boy, that scratches an itch, right? So give me the journey. It's not easy to just start a business, right? So what is the reason that you wanted to start an entire business to help other businesses?
Great question. So honestly, it was out of desperation. I had a job and I was pregnant with my firstborn, and my job actually told me that I could only have 2 days off to give birth, and I would have to go back to work. And I was with a high-risk pregnancy. We had a struggle with getting pregnant, so that was obviously not doable. And then she was born preemie and at 3 pounds. So I had to quit my job and figure out a way to make money from home, and found being a virtual assistant.
See, that's amazing, because through the crucible, if you will, through the pressure that you were put through, and boo to that company, by the way, we don't have to necessarily name names or anything, but just can I put a hard boo out for that company that, and maybe a mini soapbox moment that I think America needs a better maternity situation that matches maybe some more of the global, but we don't have to dive into that. I know that can get political. So boo to them, but a massive yay to you that you made that happen through that journey. That was, I think, honestly, probably a negative experience at the time, right? Like that sucked, if we can be honest, but you turned it into your entire business, right? It didn't start there though, because you didn't start it as a business. You became a virtual assistant. So walk us through that. Like you literally, you left that toxic environment where they wouldn't give you the time to be a mother. And then you became a virtual assistant, and you were one for 6 years. You became a virtual assistant. What happened in those 6 years? What can you share with us that really showed you, wait a second, I can do something here. I can add value here beyond all the companies you were helping individually yourself?
Yeah. So I started out I found becoming a virtual assistant just through a whole ton of research. I'm a researcher at heart. I love to find anything and everything. So I was really trying to find that work from home business. And so I was kind of doing it as a side job because I was still trying to be a mom to, I actually had another preemie 1 year later. So being a mom to 2 preemies at home, and then making basically a side hustle as a virtual assistant. But when the pandemic hit, I noticed that so many online businesses were starting. Everyone was wanting to work from home. And I also noticed that there was a lot of moms put in really hard situations. Mm-hmm. So I kind of wanted to create a solution on both sides of that. So I turned my side hustle into a 6-figure business and hired 5 moms. And so that way they could make money from home and learn really great skills that not only will help other entrepreneurs, but will also help them grow if they ever decide to leave my business as well.
And that's something that sounds like you're okay with, that you're kind of a platform at this point. So if some of those, now, is it specifically that, again, you target and hire moms? Because I think that's cool.
Yeah. It's usually women or moms. It's just been, I think, that's one of the all my charities and everything that I kind of give a part of myself to is things to support women, just because I was put in that situation where my job wasn't very supportive of me being a woman. So now it's kind of my mission to give back.
I think that's huge. And that speaks to David and I, because our wives actually do that differently. David's wife, again, a big part of what we do with our kind of day to day. And my wife, even though she left work to care for our child, she still works part-time and assists very much. It's kind of funny because she, I guess at this point, you could almost say she's a virtual assistant, very, very like sparingly for him. But I think it's so powerful, the platform you're providing. Talk to me about like what you see in the coming years for NG Virtual Assistants, which is the business you created.
Yeah, so we're actually creating really cool plans geared towards the future. We're kind of packaging our services a little more to really target entrepreneurs. So like we create lead magnet packages where we'll create your lead magnet, your landing page, your email automation, we'll handle your CRM. And we kind of just are packaging in a way to make entrepreneurs' life easier, because a lot of times when they're looking for a virtual assistant, they don't necessarily know what they need. But basically, every entrepreneur needs a website. They need, someone to handle their CRM, their email marketing, their social media planning and scheduling. And so we're starting to create packages around that to better serve entrepreneurs.
So most of the team members then that you're bringing in, are they actual, like, do they have much knowledge of that, or you're able to use your knowledge to make them knowledgeable?
It's a mix of both. I like to hire, people that have a specialty that I'm kind of like searching for. For instance, I have a copywriter, but now my copywriter is also, I'm training her on how to design web pages because it's something that really interests her. She likes art and creating. So I'm trying to teach her how to create landing pages with our systems. So it's kind of a collaborative effort with everyone's unique skill set mixed in. And even people on our team are training each other. So like when they need an email written, the copywriter will be like, hey, try this.
The collaboration.
Natalie, that speaks again to some core stuff that's in our like day jobs, where it's like the team working as a legitimate team. So it sounds like you're cultivating a pretty amazing team environment. But I got to ask, again, self-serving question. I warned you about that. You have team members all around the world. How do you keep them together? What do you do?
The first thing that we do is daily meetings, at a certain time, scheduled time. It's the same every single day. And it's just a short 15, 20-minute meeting. And then we basically go over our 3 goals for the day. We do 3 business goals and 1 personal goal. So it could be anything. It could just be, I need to follow up with someone, or I try and tell them not to make it too complicated, because when we create 3 goals and maybe it's like, I want to design a whole system and then I want to email 100 people. And I'm like, those are a little bit out of the realm. You want small, attainable goals that you can complete, because you don't know what else is going to pop up in your day as well. So we do those 3 business goals and then 1 personal goal because, like I said, we're women and moms and wives. And so we want to make sure that we're taking care of the personal side as well and keeping each other accountable.
Again, accountability being a huge thing, right? Especially in a team that might not be able to sit next to each other every day other than on Zoom or something like that. Are there certain softwares that you use that make your life easier or that you encourage your team to use? I'll give an example. We like a task management software called Teamwork, but that was something that, David cultivated through the years to try to help us with project management. Are there certain softwares that you like to use for your team?
Yeah. So I love Asana. That is our task management software.
Nice. That's a big one.
Yeah, it saves my life a million times. And it's really cool because we record, I do all my video trainings in there. So I'll create a task and then I'll create a little video training or about sometimes when we write things down, it doesn't make sense. So I always like to add a little video recording, just putting all my thoughts in there so they can really clearly understand what I'm asking. And they seem to really appreciate that. And then the other thing is Slack. For team communication.
We love Slack.
I do too. I love all the different attachments and games that we could use.
Jiffies.
Oh yeah. And we just started using the Huddle. Have you ever messed with that?
No, I have not.
It's new, I think, right? So
it was in the last year or so, but
it's definitely new for us.
Into they really upped it in the paid plan.
Oh,
whatever.
right. Okay. Yeah. Because we weren't using it until recently. So like we're on a Zoom right now, right? We're recording on Zoom and we use Zoom all the time. But Slack, these little huddles, it has a little toggle switch in the bottom left. And then I could be one-on-one or I can have multiple in, and it's audio. So it's like we're talking and I can screen share if I want to.
Oh, that is so cool. I'm going to have to write that down.
Oh,
because
it's new for me.
Then it was like,
Natalie,
we got to power up a Zoom. And then it's like, oh, hold on a second. Let me get you the link. And it's like, you literally just press a button and it invites them into
this is
room.
not a paid Slack promotion. It's just ironic that we both use Slack, but isn't that because like it adds value for both of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our businesses are totally different, but we're using Slack, at least on our perspective, to compile communication internally, right? To make sure that the team can all connect. And it sounds like you're doing the same thing with that.
Yeah. And it's really beneficial because then they have access to each other. It's not just all on me. So if they're needing something, they can put it into our group chat and then everyone can kind of collab on it. So it kind of takes the pressure off myself a lot as a CEO. So I really appreciate Slack.
I love it. Puts everything in one spot, right? So it's like, as long as we're all communicating in the right spot, you could always go back and find, kind of all that communication that's going on. And then you can look something up later on and you can find it, you can search for it. And then, like you said, like you guys are connecting, there's some personal things being, talked about is so key because that's probably much more engaging, right? Than not being able to share that stuff is allowing, right, a place and a platform where people can wish people happy birthdays or happy Father's Day or happy Mother's Day or whatever is going on. You're able to, use that place to kind of connect and tell good stories between everybody.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the birthdays. We actually pin it in the group chat, all the birthdays and holidays.
No, it's a really cool engagement tool that ties into something you kind of touched on that I want to go a little deeper on, because you talked about, you literally said some buzzwords for us. You said CRM, you said email automation, you said these things. So like, again, from our perspective, and we're running an agency here, so we're always trying to convince business owners that they need these things. Are you having to convince them, or they're coming to you because they know they need that? And that the comma, it's like a two-part question. Are there certain honey holes for you where you're like, okay, they're an entrepreneur of this level, they just started, I know I'm going to offer them the XYZ, or they're coming to you already knowing what they need?
Oh, I have a mix of both.
Okay.
I have like the experienced entrepreneur, and then I also have the brand newbies. So I kind of offer them, I always push, always making sure you have a CRM. So if they tell me they have a whole list in Google Sheets, I was like, do you have a CRM? Because we need that. We need the customer relationship manager. So I'm kind of doing both. Even the most experienced entrepreneur sometimes doesn't even have all those tools because they started their business without it and they're successful without it. So they don't necessarily think they need it. But then when we talk about future plans and, automating things, taking things off their plate, that's when I really just try to tell them, we should have these things. And actually, I work with a program that is like Kajabi, but on steroids is what I like to call it. So basically, it's all that in one. So it's like you can create websites and CRMs and email management all in this one platform. Nice. And yeah, I love it. And so now I'm offering that to my clients. Like instead of having to pay for all these different programs, you can just pay me for the monthly services and then I'll pay your membership fee to that platform.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So everything's simple.
That's it, right? It's simple. And I think, when people think of a virtual assistant, they think that they're hiring, right, a person or people to do a few things. But it sounds like not only are they hiring the people, but there's like a level of skill that's coming in with what you can bring to the table and based on even what you've done or what you have experience with. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I've actually noticed that is, with virtual assistants, it's just like hiring kind of any employee. You got all different levels of employees and backgrounds. And I think people are just realizing it's the same with virtual assistants now, but it's something that's so new that it's not necessarily known that there's all sorts of levels. And then virtual assistants can specialize in certain areas. And we're kind of making our own way at NG Virtual Assistants. We're kind of creating, something that hasn't really been done in the virtual assistant agency. Because when you call it an agency, they think, oh, we're going to assign you a virtual assistant. That's not the case. We work as a team. So you get a team manager, and then we all work as a team to get everything you need done. So I don't know if there's actually been an agency how we do it, but it works for us and it works for our clients.
That's what's exciting to us as we were talking when we first met into, fleshing that out in this conversation. I think there's a really massive amount of opportunity for the business you created, right? And I think obviously you see that too. So let's kind of jam on that for a second, because I think it's two-part. It's your specific business that I think has literal market fit for so many different types of businesses. I'm not even sure if it was just COVID or the fact that COVID accelerated a thing that was already going to happen in 5-10 years. But people realizing that specialists or really helpful individuals can be anywhere on earth to help someone. I think that was coming anyway. And maybe COVID just kind of moved it forward. Was that for you the catalyst of why you knew you had to turn it into NG virtual assistants, like seeing so many more people succeeding from wherever they were and not always having to be in one office?
Oh, 100%. And then it's like, you not only have everyone trying, needing help, but they don't want to have an office and they don't want to provide benefits. It's a contractor. So I think that this is going to be the new way a lot of businesses are going to go. They're going to maybe even go less from employees and go more for virtual assistants, especially if it's an online-based company.
Well, sure, because they can save money. Let's be real about it, right? Like they can save actual money because while you can get paid what you're asking without a problem, they're going to be saving on even payroll taxes and things of that nature that come in. And that's what you were getting at, I think.
Yes.
Well, that and the time and the setup and the things that, like, again, if you're saying that you're giving them a whole team, they're getting more than just one person.
Well, I can imagine that there might be some clients of yours, and you don't have to necessarily like name names or anything like that, but you may be that arm of their entire business, right? They may have the idea and the running of what they're doing, but you and your team may execute for them top to bottom. If that isn't happening now, is that part of where you're going, or you're already kind of building relationships like that for NG?
Oh, it's happening. It's definitely happening. They're actually, I just had a client recently that fired all their other help and is now only utilizing my team because, one, I am OCD. So I like to have everything done when I say it's going to be done or earlier. I was 3 minutes early to this podcast. So that's just a little bit of my personality and how I kind of run my business, is that I always make sure it gets done. And I think not every virtual assistant takes pride in that, but we do. And our clients tend to value us. So they hire us for pretty much everything from their marketing to their sales to their customer service. I have pretty much done it all in the last 6 years.
No, I think it's awesome. And people could find you on ngvirtualassistant.com. But are there certain types of businesses that you're looking to work for, or are you just intrigued with anyone? Like, what are some best fits for you?
Yeah, so we have been working with a lot of online coaches. I've noticed a very big growth in that, but we kind of have clients of all different backgrounds. Like I have a fine jewelry maker who's made jewelry for Vogue. I have veterinarians. I have that mom CEOs that just want like a family manager to like handle appointments and order things on Amazon. We kind of have it all across the board. Doctors. It's just been really cool. I like working with all new types of clients because that's how we learn and we grow and we expand our skill set.
Very diverse group, right? Not just like you said, you've excelled well with all of them, and that there's certain ones that you have a bunch of. But again, there's lots of kind of variety in your who you're able to help and how you're able to help them.
Yes, 100%. And, at the basis of it, every business has almost the same core. You got your leads, you have sales. When it gets down to it, every business has the same base. And so, yes, we might have to tweak it a little bit and use different systems and softwares. But once we know what to use and what to look for, then it's just easy and smooth sailing. We just go back to the basics.
Makes sense. And I love, and I could see on your website that you schedule discovery calls with people, right? Is that to learn more about it, to see what kind of fit, or is that to learn exactly which things they're looking for to customize? Like how much of the experience with NG Virtual Assistant is customized that way? Or is it more like, okay, we're very good at these 6 things and you need 4 of them? How do you kind of gauge that in that discovery call?
Yeah, so the discovery call serves many purposes. The first is not only do I want to make sure that I'm the right fit for you, but I want to make sure that you're the right fit for my team and that it's a really good flow of communication. Number 2 is I want to learn about your business. I think that's one of the things that intrigues me most about being a virtual assistant is all the different types of businesses out there and what they're doing. And there's always new ideas popping up all the time. And then I kind of assess what their needs are, try to figure out what they're looking for and what they might need in the future. You'd be shocked about how many times I'll have a discovery call. I can just kind of pick up on what they're needing, what their business needs, not just now, but also in the future.
I think that the industry you've decided to grow a business in has so much opportunity in the coming years and decades because it's so native to the tech adoption cycle, right? Of like, as tech moves forward, people either get on the bus or get left behind. And you're in a situation where you've set your business up to be there for them when before they're even on the bus. You're already there digitally, virtually, and you could do that anywhere. I'm so like overarchingly excited for the virtual assistant industry because again, while we like work with some people on premise, we have many of our team members work virtually because I think it just makes sense for where we are today, 2022, and we can't go back. We can't go backwards. We can't unknow what we learned between 2020 and 2021 and into this year. And the fact that people were productive, the fact that businesses grew if they remained focused and had people doing work regardless of where they were, how could anyone forget that, right? Like we can't go backwards.
Yeah, it's so cool, the potential for it. And like I said, we're kind of making our own way. There's not any guide to this yet because I don't feel like a lot of virtual assistants have taken it to that next level. And that's what we're doing at NG Virtual Assistant is just any way to help entrepreneurs. We want to be there to help them.
So you said you've got a team of was it 5 or 6 at the moment?
Of 5.
Talk to me about NG Virtual Assistants in 2025 and 2030. What do you see?
Oh man, I see it being huge. So we are currently hiring for 3 more. So it's insane how fast we're growing and we're not even we haven't really been actively looking for clients but they hear about us or they see our website and every week we have discovery calls without, running ads or really trying to find leads. So it's been a really cool thing that they're just naturally coming to us. And,
well, it sounds like you cultivate great referrals from people because isn't that the best lead technically? It like almost closes itself, right?
Yes. And they're the best people to work with because usually like people surround themselves with like people, right? Or people surround themselves with like people. So, that's how I get my best clients, I feel like, is through referrals. And we have a referral program too, where they get a free hour for every person that they refer. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I have one client that has like 10 hours right now.
So is it, I'm glad you even said it that way. So is the model essentially based on a business paying for hours and they can get anything within, or is it different hourly prices for different services?
Yeah, so we have one hourly rate. And then we also have our packaging. So the packaging is like more when it comes to like website design or email marketing or blogging. But then we also have for the services that could be anything from emails or calling people, or we've done so many different tasks, but then we have the hourly rate to accommodate for that.
I think that's awesome. And I think it lets a business owner that's either even if they're just getting started or well experienced, it sounds like they could balance that budget. Are there hourly minimums? Like walk me through, like if there's a listener listening to this episode when it goes live and they're like, man, I'm getting my business going. I've got things, but I know I need help. What would be maybe an entry or to working with NG?
Yeah, so we always have that discovery call first. It's the first thing you'll probably see on the website. And that's where, we really get to know you. You get to know us and we see if it's a fit. We get to see, maybe you could go with the package rate or maybe you could go with the hourly. And then, there's no minimum. So if you only need us for an hour a week, that's fine. If 1 week it's an hour and the next week it's 20, we're able to accommodate that as well.
Nice.
Wow. So you can even scale quickly like that because you've built your team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. And that's where the team came in, was when we had clients that, just as they grow, we grow. And that's when I know to hire the team, is when we keep having our clients add more and more hours.
This is a perfect Florida business story, right? That's we're Florida business. You're a Florida business, but we touch, same as you, like you could do this anywhere. From here, from where you are,
helping anybody.
You can, you do, like, you have clients all over the world, right?
Yes. Yeah. Germany, Australia, all over the US. It's, I actually have a map that I'm going to start. I just bought.
Yes. Put that on the site.
Yeah. That's pins. A great idea.
Oh, why wouldn't, I would love people to, like, hey, they're going to listen to this episode, hopefully. And sure, please feel free to, once this goes live, link this up on your stuff if you feel like it. But I think people need to know how wide your business can touch, not just, and I don't even just mean the clients all around the world or team members literally all around the world, but gosh, that list of services, when you started listing it out, you hit buzzwords that are literally just going to matter for business forever. That whether it's on the lead intake, whether it's on the customer service side, these things are going to matter forever. And that's why we feel just very strong about the direction for NG virtual assistants. I know you do too.
Yeah. And I've seen it, even in the last 2 years, it's just blown up and we've been so incredibly blessed. And I'm excited to see where it takes us in the future. And I know it's gonna go big.
Oh, I can't thank you enough for joining us on this episode. I'm really excited for people to hear it and to learn more. Where else could anyone find you? I mean, ngvirtualassistant.com is obviously your website. Are there any other places you want people to find you?
Yeah, we're on Instagram and Facebook, also at NG Virtual Assistant, and I'm always happy to chat.
Natalie, can't thank you enough. This has been awesome. And we're very like-minded on the future of work. People are getting more and more comfortable with it, but it's going to be years more. That the cool thing is, like, you're growing already because enough people get it. But what's going to be so crazy in 3 to 5 years, when the rest of the, let's call them old school folks, realize they have to go this direction, you're just going to go to the moon.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I'm excited. Well, thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hey, this is Neil Galarte of Wild Style Media, and I want to share this very important tip. As a podcast coach, I often cringe when I hear podcasts where I can tell that the host did not prepare for their guest. You cannot open a podcast by simply asking, "Tell me about yourself," and expecting to have an amazing podcast. You are the host. You are guiding your audience through a journey. Prepare. Look up their past. Look up their history. Study their accolades. What are they doing that makes them unique in the marketplace? And then guide your audience through that. You can always get the chit chat along the way. But when you do not prepare, you're leaving it open to a lackluster show that will sort of spiral out of control and not have a clear focus. So my tip is prepare in advance. That way you're guiding an interview, not just having one.
Thanks, Neil, for that podcasting tip. And there's more where that came from. Check out episode 6 to hear our full conversation with Neil.
For details and show notes about today's show, go to floridapodcastnetwork.com. And we want our community of Florida enthusiasts to grow. Join in with our superfans, the FPN Insiders, on Facebook, Clubhouse, and Good Pods. Just search FPN Insiders. And of course, find us anytime at iwantclarity.com.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on the Florida Podcast Network. You'll find them at floridapodcastnetwork.com. And I don't even know if I know the tune to this, but we're going to ride out. Now there's no sound if we all live underground, 'cause it's virtual insanity. Forget your reality.